Welcome back to PJ Chen Design. Today I would like to talk about this structure. You can get it as a bangle or in other type of jewelry, but mainly how do you fit this structure into the size that you want, in this case as a bangle. Are you ready? Let's get started. To begin with this structure, we need to know how big the size for this bangle. So I'm going to snapping into the 0. And usually the standard size is 60 millimeters. So I'm going to type it 30 for one side, holding my shift. And move it up for how narrow that you want it. So I'm just kind of eyeball it for the size that I want. I also want to cut it out the bottom right there. And so then it can be a bangle and it will fit it in to the hand. So this is a straight line here. I'm just gonna trim it off an opening there. So this is the curve we're going to use. To do the design, we need to lay this curve flat. So let's go ahead to see how long is it by using the command length. And with the length, it tells me that this is 1 to 4.184. Not like I will remember, so I just copy it there. Then after that, we're going to come into the side and to do our design. So I'm going to draw a straight line and just past the line that it was the length for that bangle, holding my shift, and I want to click it here. And that will be the line represent this curve when it is flat. Okay, so now we have this, we are going to do our design. Coming into the top view, I basically want to draw a square, and I want to snapping into the center for this line right there on the midpoint. And depends on how wide you wanted this piece to be, so something about this. And then to complete the arc in the end, we have a different type of arc. The second one is started and point on the arc. So I want to start and end the point. And you can see that it's a little bit bump there. I really don't like it. So I actually may want to make this a little bit longer. So that's using the arc one more time. Start, end, and then somewhere in the middle. The same thing here, start, end, and somewhere in the middle. And then we just need to explode it. And we delete those two. So then we have something that we can join together. This will be the border of the design. If you don't like this pinch over there, there are a few things that you can do. I usually like to rebuild it. And then you can rebuild it as many points as you want to. Let's try 24 or maybe 36 to get something close. Right. Notice that there's a bump there, and if you don't like it, what you can do is you can pick up everybody right there on the gumball scale, 1D scale, click on it, just type it 0, and you can align everything there. So we're gonna do the same thing on the bottom, just type it 0 here, hit enter, then we'll get something like this. Okay, so now we need to create a line in between so we can pipe it to make sure everything is distributed evenly. There are two ways to do it. First, you can divide it, the line into the section that you want. So let's say I want to have 40 of them, and you're going to see 40 dots there. Then what we wanted to do is to create a straight line. And then this straight line is actually the same with the width, and with this one, we can linear array, and for 40 of them, and I want to go from the first dot to the second dot. So then I will evenly have 40 of them. So that's one way to do it. The other way to do it is I'm going to draw a line, and let me draw the line like this, and I'm going to draw another line going to the other end. In between those ends, I'm going to use the twin curve command, and I wanted to have 40 of them. So then that will evenly outdistance for 40 of them. So that's another way to do it, and depends on how you like it. All right, either way will work. So we don't need the first one, we don't need the last one, and we want to pick up this as a cutting tool to trim everybody outside, so that will be perfectly fit. Now we are going to twist this one first. This is no way you can twist something is already on there. Take it back, there's a way, but it is easier way when you work on your design when it's flat. So we are going to do is using the twist command. We're gonna twist in between here and here. And I'm gonna coming into the right view saying I'm going to twist 180 degrees by holding my shift. So then you got something like this. You can pipe it first and flow to this curve, but your pipe, it's going to change the thickness. Let me show you what I mean here. I'm going to pipe it this one, diameter for 1.2 for example, and I will get something like this, right? We don't need the one in the middle. And if I flow, and I'm gonna flow everybody, and this is this, this is this, and you'll get something like this, right? That's not too big of the problem since this wire is not changing too much, but I can guarantee that all those wires, as you can see, it's tapering. Like this is bigger, this is smaller, and I actually want them to be exactly the same thickness. Another problem on this one is this is my wire and that's my bangle size. As you can see now, the design is cutting into the middle, so then the bangle size is changing. I would like to have everything follow outside of this curve, right? So this is the problem that we're facing, but let's see how we can fix it. All right, so fixing number one, we don't use this to flow. We actually, if we look in the front view, we need to have a curve like follow this outline right there on the bottom, and that will be our base curve to flow. All right, the second thing is we don't pipe it first and flow. We actually want to flow and pipe it in order to keep the same thickness. All right, so how do we do this curve? Let's use a project to C plane, and we do not want to delete input, right? So now you can see there's a curve right here. I'm going to change it into the green color so you see what I am doing there. All right, so this is the curve that is projected at the front view, so that fitted our profile perfectly. And I'm gonna draw a straight line going from the 0, and then using that straight line to trim this green one on the top. So now I have the one on the bottom. This is the curve we are going to use. So I'm going to delete this middle one and moving this one from this endpoint. So I'm looking at this and I'm going to move it from this endpoint to that endpoint, but I noticed something there. The line is actually folding back. It's hard to see, but you can see this endpoint is, the point is not the end. You can see the dashed line to know that this is not the endpoint. So I actually want to delete this one and delete this one and delete this one. This now is an endpoint, but it may run it too short, but that's okay. I'm going to delete a bunch of them here as well and make sure that one is an endpoint. Okay, so now we know that it's an endpoint, and then we get it a little bit too short. So here's what we're gonna do. We are going to use an oriented to point, and then we want to orient it. We don't need a copy. We do want a 3D scale, and we want to from endpoint to the endpoint, from endpoint to the endpoint, all the quadrant. All right, so that will be a line we're using. It may just a little bit different, but it's hard to tell by eye. Okay, so now this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna use flow along curve. You can just type it flow, and then you're gonna pick up everybody there besides that green line. Hit enter. This is the base curve, and the target curve will be one of the end. So now you can see if we going back to the front view, see that it's fitting perfectly. All right, so now we have this, another one in the middle. I'm going to pipe it. Let's go ahead to pipe it with the same diameter, maybe a little bit bigger, 1.5. So then this is how we get this structure and fitting into this bangle size perfectly. If you like this kind of a trick, leave your comment below. Let me know how you like it. Or if you have other questions, welcome to leave the comment below. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next.